Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first Hunt the Wild podcast. I'm your host, Adam Bolds, and today I'm joined with Brett Morris of Blue River Bow Hunting.
How's it going, man?
It's good, man. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Just did a little float down the river, a little Sunday fun day with the family, drinking some beers, floating in tubes down the river.
Nice and hot,
Yeah, you could
huh?
say that.
Good old Hoosier weather.
Right. We got a
Hey,
little
man,
bit of
it's
rain, which is like Indiana. If you don't like the weather, just stick around because it's going to change.
every 5 minutes. It's nice to finally get you on here and chat, man. I know we've talked quite a bit on TikTok and talked about doing this for a while, so here we are.
Yeah, we've thrown it back and forth, and we actually thought, the first time we were going to do this, that you were going to be on my show, but then you got, your all your tech stuff in order, and asked me to be, come on and do your show, which was really cool. I appreciate you. Just, it's an honor just to be asked to do this because I know the time and the prep that goes into everything, and so that's cool.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. Could you tell us a little bit about Blue River Bow Hunting and what you guys do and your podcast and maybe like where people can find you on social and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, it was kind of like a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. So back 10 years ago or so, me being in my 20s and being single, and my best friend lived with me, and we were big duck hunters at the time. And we'd always have our buddies stay in the night, and everybody stayed at our house. And we'd get up, and everybody go duck hunting and, pull their weight in the duck blind, so to speak. And we always thought, man, it'd be so cool to have something, it's video our hunts and do this and do this. And, and then fast forward another, you know, 6 or 7 years, and we finally did it, but it wasn't on the waterfowl side of things. You know, duck hunting here in central Indiana isn't the greatest. You might get lucky and have a couple good spots, but we really noticed that, we really excelled in deer hunting. We had the property, we had the knowledge on everything, and we're like, dude, let's start videoing these uh, whitetails. And when we were doing the waterfowl stuff, we always called ourselves the Blue River Bottom Boys. That was just a group of guys of us that would hunt together. And so when we were wanted to come up with a name for everything that we were doing on the bow hunting side, like, let's do just Blue River Bow Hunting. And Blue River Bow Hunting is such more than just bow hunting. We do a lot of stuff. Turkey hunting. I mean, we whip out the guns too, but
Yeah,
we really focus on bow hunting. And we're just regular guys with a passion for chasing whitetails with our bows, and we just want to film everything that we can possibly film, and share our experiences. And then here recently, we're on. This will be episode number 4 this week when I record of the podcast. So we're fairly new to the podcast, but it's been a really cool adventure to do that. You know, Finding somebody to come on and talk deer hunting, to have lengthy conversations. It's easy to find, but you don't want to have just anybody on. You want to have people on that you can carry a conversation with, But as far as the Blue River bow hunting, that's about it. We're just regular Midwestern Indiana guys that love to film each other bow hunting.
yeah, man. Some guys you'll talk to, they're hunters or whatever, but some guys are real diehard, and some guys are just kind of weekenders, and you can kind of tell sometimes when you talk to people. They're like, "Yeah, is this that guy ever going to shut up about deer hunting?"
That's how it
It's nice
is.
to have somebody on that can talk it for a long time and not really get sick of it.
Oh no, I could talk for hours and hours, and that's how it is. Like, we have a lot of cookouts and fish fries and stuff here at my house with everybody, and sometimes people say that, like my wife and all the wives that come over, they're like, "How do you guys continue to talk about the same thing over and over and over again?" I'm like, that's just who we are. That's what we like. We're so diehard about it and so passionate about something that's hard not to talk about it 24/7, especially when you start into the filming and putting food plots in and running cameras, and you always have something to talk about.
Yeah, it's like a year long process. I told my wife that she shot her first deer last year, and I said, "You don't want to do this because once you go down this road, you're not going to be able to stop. It's like it just grabs you and hooks you." So yeah, I'm ecstatic about anything hunting. So I
Absolutely.
kind of wanted to talk about um, some of hunting stuff on TikTok. What do you think about all the banning on there?
Well,
Like people getting banned for just
right.
hunting related stuff.
I'm very, very new to TikTok. I actually just got on there to promote what a lot of the stuff we have going on at Blue River Bow Hunting, and connect with a lot of people that may not have Twitter or Facebook
Hmm.
or Instagram or YouTube, or maybe they just didn't know who we are, because the algorithm on TikTok can be a lot different now since it's so new, and you kind of get that wide range of people seeing what you're doing. But I posted a video. It was like the second one I ever posted. It was all of us that shot bucks last year, and it was like had a little music to it, and it kind of went through the pictures of all of us that shot bucks last year with our bow. And the next day I went back and it was gone. I'm like, what did I do any different? You got women on here, half naked dancing around, but I can't show me with a buck that I killed last year. I don't understand what the.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I first got on there too, and that's what I heard about the algorithm and how easy it was to reach. Because like on Instagram, people have to follow you to be able to see your stuff, but on TikTok, it's like you could reach anybody and everybody for free, like from here to across the world. So I remember the first time I posted on there, I posted a couple videos or something. I got up the next morning, I'm like, deleted, removed for graphic content. I'm like, I posted a picture of a steak. So like, but yeah, TikTok, man, I like TikTok. I like the way we can reach people on it. But man, I wish some of their guidelines would be changed.
Yeah, I think they need to figure that out, because I mean, I can get it if maybe you're putting a video on there, you field dressing your deer or something, maybe really graphic. But if it's just a picture with me sitting there with, holding my deer, my trophy that I worked so hard to, take, I don't think that's something that you should take down. They don't take it down anywhere else. I mean, we
Right,
got videos of me actually shooting it on YouTube, and that didn't get taken down.
right, yeah. I don't understand it. Um, I also want to talk about. I'm real big into self filming too. I started a couple years ago, just kind of dipping my toes into the water. Last year, I really dove in and I went with a Canon 90D, and I bought all the gear and I bought all the stuff, and kind of want to talk about what you're using and if you self film, if you film for your buddies, what you're taking in the woods, how you're carrying it all in. One of the big things that I've found is difficult is carrying all that gear in the woods. I mean,
Yeah,
it gets cumbersome, especially if you hunt a lot of public land.
Oh, I can only imagine, because a lot of those, I mean, 99% of the time somewhere we're hunting, it's it's a private spot that we've had for years or months, or sometimes maybe even weeks, but we have stands already set up to go into. But when I first started this, me and another guy on my team, Alan, we used a Sony Handycam. It was just something that we wanted to test out, like you said, dip your toes in the water a little bit. We had some crummy camera arm that didn't work worth a crap. It creaked when we moved it. It wasn't worth anything. But then we kind of really stepped over our game here. This would be our second year with professional equipment. We have Canon XA11 is our camera running with the external mic, the Manfrotto fluid
Hmm.
head with the Muddy Pro camera arm, and we have the remote to it. It's everything you can ask for when filming for a whitetail, besides a $5,000 camera that somebody might use for the outdoor channel. But what we got's pretty nice, and I think I self filmed myself maybe five times last year. But we really have teamed up, and it's a team effort now.
Yeah,
I didn't actually pick my bow up last year until the last week of October.
no kidding.
The whole month of October I was behind the camera until I went to Wisconsin, and I took my camera and self filmed myself.
Yeah, man, I saw that video on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that video alone will tell you some experiences that you're going to run into, because are you do you have enough pressure on yourself to do certain things? Like, this buck was coming, and he was on a beeline, and I thought he was going to make this slight little turn right where I was at. I had the camera set on full draw. He takes a step in the opposite direction and actually goes behind me. So the camera actually won't swing any further that way. It's directly behind me. So I have to let down my bow, and at that point, I'm like, I'm not messing with this camera. I'm shooting this deer. This is my last day in Wisconsin. I'm getting it done, you know. So I turn back to
Yeah.
the other side and shoot him on the other side of the tree. You can hear everything going on, but you don't actually see the shot on the deer, which breaks my heart a little bit since I work so hard for that kind of thing. But at that time, I was like, I'm getting it done. You know, it's my last day here, buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes you get to the point you're like, gosh, I really love to see this on film, but man, it's time. It's time. Have you felt like filming has made you a better hunter? Has it helped you track deer and kind of like see where you've hit them and stuff?
It definitely gives me a different point of view when it's just me with the camera, and you
Yeah.
know, Ryan's with the bow, or my buddy Alan, or there's a couple of us that kind of hunt together, and it'll give you a different point of view, for sure. It's made me a better hunter because you know, I've shot a lot of nice deer. You can kind of see behind
Yeah, I
me some
see
of the
them
ones
back on your
that
wall.
I
Uh-huh.
got behind me. But, you know, even before I started filming, I wasn't going to shoot anything young. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this puts it a little more into perspective because that's our goal. We want to shoot mature deer with our bow on camera, and we want it to be on camera. So we, you know, setting stands or cameras in certain spots, it's definitely made us think a little bit like, hey, this is definitely a really great pinch point right here. I think they could be almost directly underneath us. We're going to see them coming. You know, it's going to be great to get them on film way before, you know, we actually need to be ready for the shot, because sometimes they can pop up on you just like that, you
Yep.
know. And it
Uh-huh.
actually takes me a second to get my camera going. It doesn't actually have a standby, so I have to switch the on
Oh,
button.
yep.
I wish I had the standby. I don't have that on the camera. At least I think I might be able to do it if I had a different remote. I have like the rocker remote, so it goes on the fluid head arm, so to
Uh-huh.
speak, and I can just rock it. You know, zoom in, zoom out. I can hit record. I don't have to be right up on the camera, which is nice because you know you can just with the fluid head you can be so smooth with you know transitioning into your record into zooming into a deer coming down the trail, or zooming out and seeing multiple deer in the field. But
I
it's made me a
imagine that I imagine that saves you from getting busted a lot too.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
you
because
know,
it
when you're right on
minimizes.
the camera, it's a lot different, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd say it's made me a better hunter on certain things, but I'm still I'm still Brett. I'm still the redneck from Indiana that loves shooting big deer, you know.
Now, do you guys mostly set stands prior? You guys saddle
Yes,
hunt or
we're
you climbers or?
we do climbers. We get drawed for reserved hunts here in Indiana, like state park hunts or deer
Mm-hmm.
reduction state park hunts, stuff like that. Military refugee
Yep.
hunts, and we'll take climbers then, which I have a really hard time in a climber. Because of the equipment that I bring in with my camera, my backpack is actually so big with everything loaded down in it that when I go to
Mm.
climb with my climber, the the back of my climber wants to hit that backpack, and it's not the most pleasant thing. So we hunt a lot of lock-ons, which almost all of our lock-ons are already set for this year. We have one more set that we need to put out, but we kind of been waiting because this property changed. I've been hunting this property for 18 plus years,
Oh
and it's
wow.
been basically my A game for a long time. And it took over different hands, and they're actually making certain parts of this property. They have sheep and cattle and stuff, and I've never had to deal with any fencing in this area, and now there's a lot of electric fence and gates and corrals and that kind of thing. So I'm really using this summer with my cell cams to really pinpoint where these deer are going to go, and we're getting a good eye on things. We're going to check a couple more cameras this week because we want to have it in before Labor Day weekend, because me and Ryan we're going to Lake Michigan with our wives for Labor Day, and then after that it's game on because we're going to try to get down and hunt with Brian from Buck Tags Unlimited in Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
get on some things, and then next thing you know it's going to be opener here, and we need to have things ready to rock.
It's coming fast. It's coming fast for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I actually hunt out of a climber quite a bit, and I actually bought this this year. Let's see if you can see it, but
Yeah.
it's a hoist
Yep. That's what I
made by
bring. Yep.
Doyle's. It holds like 200 pounds, but it's like I hunt by myself a lot, and I can't. I've got so much gear too. I can't put it in my climber and hardly
Yeah.
climb with that Summit. So I got this. It weighs just a pound,
I
and
use the exact same thing except for the hoist. When you pull it out, it almost looks like something you would use to like walk your dog with. It's a
huh.
little bit thinner,
Oh
but
yeah, like a
I'll leave
string.
my bow or my camera bag on the ground and hoist my camera bag once I get up. But I use an Insight backpack. That's the company name, and I can
Insight backpack.
yep, I can put my fluid head, the camera arm, the base for the camera arm just on the inside pocket. It's actually a backpack used for you to bring your bow or gun in with.
Oh
It's got
yeah.
like a pocket on the inside, and you can clip it and it opens up. And and then the front of it actually you can unclip it and it folds down once you got it hung up on a hook, and it's like having a little table up in the tree stand. And that's I used to use I guess where I used to put like my rangefinder and things like that. But the last couple of years, me and Ryan have been really big into wearing our harnesses.
Hmm.
We had a couple scares that we won't ever go through any of that ever again. So we've been very particular on our harnesses, and we both have the hunter safety system. And my hunter safety system actually has pockets in it, so I can use my rangefinder and stick it right back into my pocket right there on my hunter safety
Handy.
system. It is very handy. How mine actually has like a USB port. I can plug my phone into it and everything.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been there, done that. I fell, not really fell, but slipped down a tree about 15 or 18 feet in a climber one time, and it more scared me than it hurt me. But man, after that, I was like, yeah, safety system for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I climbed into one stand uh, one day during shotgun season. It was actually one of my favorite stands ever to hunt, but it had been in the tree for a long time, and I didn't think anything of it. It's ratcheted into this tree, and the tree had even grown up over the ratchet straps. Had been
Uh
there
huh.
for so long, and I stepped on the platform one day, and those wires connecting your seat to your platform
Yep.
broke, and it just went, and I was dangling there for a minute. I happened to be able to catch myself a little bit, get my bow. I actually climbed down out of this tree one-handed with my bow in one hand and climbing down with the other. And it was something that I don't ever want to go through ever again. So it's something that we really try to protect ourselves. I have kids and family, and he has family, and we want to make it back to him every night. So
Yeah,
we're playing it
it's
safe.
definitely worth the money. It's not that expensive, and it's not
No,
that much more work. And I mean, now I get in a stand. If I don't have it on, I feel like a nervous wreck. If I'm because I hunt pretty
right?
high, 20, 25 feet. So
Absolutely.
yeah, what are you using as far as? Well, I guess you have preset stands. I when you film out of your climber, I don't know if you do a little bit. What are you using to hang up your gear? Are you
Um,
carrying hooks in or?
Yes, I'm carrying hooks and like I have multiple like bow hooks, with the
Mm-hmm.
hinge in them, and I'll
Yep.
keep those in my backpack that's on me as I'm climbing up in a climber. So I get up there, and that's the first thing I do. I set up my bow hanger if I'm with a bow that day, or I just set up multiple hooks that I got. I want to set my bag at a certain level because when I put the base on for my tree arm, I don't want
Yep.
my bag to be in the way.
Uh
Because when
huh.
I try to fight myself around there to grab a hold of everything, it's not something I want to fight at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's a strategic thing, but most of the stands that we hunt, everything's already set up, and even the hooks and everything. So it's not something I deal with too much. I was watching some of your videos for when you were gun hunting in Kentucky.
Uh
That's
huh.
something, a question I kind of have for you. How do you deal with that kind of thing in a blind? I mean, you're on a tripod, right?
Yeah, on a tripod, and it. See, I bought a DSLR. Like it for anybody that doesn't know, it's more like a photography camera than a like a camcorder. But I bought it more or less so I could do photos and videos because sometimes you want to get like those glory shots and you need a camera, and when you're by yourself you can set it, and sometimes your phone just doesn't work. So I bought that, but it does make it a little bit difficult because you have to zoom the lens, and it kind of gets tricky. But yeah, I use a tripod. I just use a cheap, I don't even know what brand name it is, aluminum tripod. But my wife and I were filming out of that blind a little bit last year, and one thing we realized, it's a 2-man blind, but that tripod has to sit so far out.
Right.
It does get a little bit hard sometimes with the tripod and the blind and the chairs, and so
Right.
I'm gonna have to figure out some kind of other. I'm either gonna have to get a bigger blind, or I'm gonna have to find some kind of mount. I don't know if they make something other than a tripod or not
No,
for a
you're basically
blind.
gonna have to run with a tripod, but when you get a bow in there, that makes things even a harder. Like we went to Missouri this year turkey hunting, and I was dead set on shooting a big turkey with my bow, and
Yeah.
that's what we went out of. We went out of a blind, and um, I have the stand on my actual bow limb, so I can just sit my bow right on the ground. But it makes so much. Then you have the tripod, and then you have both of us in a seat. You definitely are crammed in there because we don't have. I mean, we have a nice blind. It's a hub blind. I can't remember the actual name. I think it's a dark horse or something like that. But
Hmm.
it's a nice blind, but definitely makes things harder. I can imagine a gun might be a little easier because you can just kind of prop your gun up against the side of the blind. But bow hunting out of a blind with a camera is incredibly hard.
Yeah, we usually go to like Cabela's. It's right on Kentucky Indiana like border, or Bass Pro over in there once a year, and we looked at some blinds there. They were like 5-man blinds. They're pretty big. I could see that being very easy to film out of. Like I'm like 5'6", 5'7". I can stand up completely in it and not even. I mean, I could probably do jumping jacks in it, but something like that's $400 or $500. I'm kind of scared to leave it on public on public land, so I
Yeah, I
just kind
probably
of deal
wouldn't
with
leave
it.
it there.
Yeah, I wanted to show you. I don't know if you're gonna hunt much out of a climber, but I bought this year because I'm gonna try to carry one screw in like bow hanger. I'm sure you've seen these, but these actually move, and you strap this around the tree when you get up.
That's pretty
Um,
nifty.
trap it, strap it up around that tree above your head, and these hooks hold 200 pounds apiece too.
Oh wow! So who makes that?
Um, Gosh, I couldn't even tell you. I don't have a brand name on it, but
I wouldn't mind having that in just a couple of my regular lock-on stands, really, if I can move them around.
yeah, it's just a strap like a cinch strap you would normally see. It's got
Right.
like this like buckle hook on it or whatever. But I actually bought it on Amazon, and I think Muddy makes some, but they're plastic. This guy, and I could probably find it and send you the link, but these are all made out of metal. So I've read a lot of the ones on Muddy, which I'm a big fan of Muddy, but a lot of their snap when it gets cold
Yeah.
from people leaving them out and all that stuff. So it was kind of, I don't know, it was $30, but I think it'll be handy. You can throw it in a bag real quick.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Even if you had like a permanent place you were hunting and you knew you were going to be there for a few days, you could even leave it in the tree a little bit. Yeah, that'd be nice because I could hang my regular backpack up. I can hang my camera backpack up.
and
I
you
got
can
all
buy,
kinds
you
of
can
stuff.
actually buy extra. It comes with four, but you can buy extra hooks, and then you can slide them. So if you want two in the back of the tree, two on the side, one above you, or whatever, it's pretty handy.
Yeah, also it would be a pretty cool place to hang a GoPro because this year we actually have one of the new GoPros. So whenever you see a video that we put on YouTube, you're gonna see the angle from our camera, and then I'm gonna try to put it above us, so you're gonna have that view of, oh look, there he is. You got me filming, you got Ryan with the bow, you see the deer coming, you're seeing me film him as he's shooting everything, and then we're actually gonna try to put a GoPro on his bow too, but flipped, so you're seeing his face
Oh,
basically.
okay.
You're seeing his reactions to him shooting, what he's going through after he shoots, which I can already tell you if he shoots something big, he might black out. So.
Do you guys normally click those on, like you're like, oh, I see a deer, click the GoPro on, or do you wait till they get
Well, we
close?
have
You
a
leave them on all
we
day?
have remote to it, so like if I know something's about to go down or something like that, or I just want a cool view for a minute, maybe we're sitting there kind of chit chatting a little bit on maybe, hey man, we might need to hang a stand over there. We're seeing a lot of deer, I might click it on that sort of thing. But I really haven't got to play with it yet, so we haven't really got to take it in the deer woods with us yet. We just got it right before turkey came in, and we really didn't get to use it turkey hunting much. But it's gonna be kind of a cool view on just having another angle on us
Yeah.
bow hunting.
The B roll is always nice to see. You
Yeah,
know, you can see like I watch the hunting public quite a bit. I know they use GoPros a lot, but I really enjoy that I can see their cameras. I like that I can see that whole process that,
right.
how they film and how there's always got to be because when you're watching it, you're thinking, oh, it's just like there, but you don't realize all the angles and all the cameras and stuff that you have to put together something that I've noticed is nobody really talks about um, how to get real big into self filming. I've
Yeah,
had a hard time like learning like just research here and there about what to buy and what mounts to buy and what cameras to buy. So maybe we could maybe do like a gear dump on my stuff and your stuff, and maybe that could help some people kind of figure out
yeah.
what to buy on a budget.
I mean, absolutely. Because I wish I would have had that kind of view on things when I first started filming. Because I had such a knockoff camera. It wasn't shooting 4K. The
Yeah,
mic on it's not very good. The zoom in and zoom outs, not smooth by any means. And I wish somebody would have showed me that kind of thing, or hey, you should set it up like this. You definitely
yeah,
need a camera arm. You're not going to hold it for your buddy while he's shooting something because it's going to be all shaky. Just I think it'd be cool too. I mean, you don't have to go out and spend $3,000 to have some
no,
nice camera setup. You can start very small on things, even if you just want to rock a GoPro. Most people like us, yes, we have a YouTube. We're throwing our footage and stuff out there, but we
yeah.
know we're not on the hunting channel. We just want you to see what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's a lot more relatable to see just like average guys, like out just boots on the ground, like normal guys do. And you see that stuff on the hunting channel. Sometimes it's cool or whatever, but a lot of it, man, it's really hard to relate to.
right, it's very raw when you have guys like us doing it because just like here this past spring when we went to Missouri and I missed a bird on the last day and I showed that. My buddy was like, "Man, it's so hard to put, you missing something on there." I'm like, "I know, but I'm going to show you where I screwed up. I'm going to show you where I'm having success. I'm going to show you everything in between where I did it right this time and this is how I did it. You may have success doing it another way, but this is how I reeled this bird in and killed him at 30 yards with my gun or vice versa."
I think it's good for people to see that, people on YouTube and stuff, they miss too. They make mistakes.
Right.
Sometimes they get caught up in all that stuff and they're like, God, I miss. These guys on TV never miss. It's like everybody misses. Everybody makes bad shots. And if you bow on it long enough, you'll lose a deer too, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Okay. Let's kind of talk about what your plans are. I know we talked a little bit about it, but for this upcoming season, you're staying mostly in Indiana. You're going to Kentucky for a little bit, I know, but
Yeah, it really just depends on what happens here. Kentucky, I'm really going down at the beginning of um, their bow season there in September. I'm mostly filming for Brian down there. He's kind of in the same boat that you are. He's new to filming and doesn't have a whole lot of help doing it. So I want to go down there and I just want to film. I said, I want to come down there. You relax. I want that Matthews in your hand. Don't you worry about any of these cameras. I'll take care of that. He's got some very special deer down there that would make an incredible video. And he's doing the YouTube thing too. And, he's got some smaller cameras, kind of like what we were talking about before. And I just want to help him out. So I'm going down there for sure. And then we got October 1st, the opener here. I'm probably going to be behind the camera um, every bit of the entire month of October. And then we kind of have it worked out. Me and Ryan, he's said he would hop behind the camera come November, which is my time to shine because we got some really good bucks in certain areas that we kind of know how to pursue them. So I've been in that situation before, hunting these big bucks with a bow. He doesn't necessarily have that experience, so he
mhm.
wants to kind of piggyback off me and see how I can handle certain things under certain circumstances, and then it's all a question mark after November. We both can get it done, prior to a certain date. We have talks to go Ohio a little bit. We might even
Hmm.
go back down to Kentucky. We have some spots down there ourselves. And then Brian said we're more than welcome to come down there anytime. So Kentucky later on is a question mark. Ohio's a question mark. But Indiana's our focus here at home because we can even get out throughout the week after work and stuff. We
Yeah.
kind of set our own schedules a little bit where we can hunt after work and whatnot. But Indiana's our main focus for now.
Do you guys, because I'm from Indiana too, I'm sure you know, but just for the listeners to know, I'm from Southern Indiana. I'm right on the Kentucky border. But do you guys mess around with any of the like reduction zones? Are you familiar with those?
Right. As far as Indiana goes,
Yeah.
no, not really. Reduction zones close to where we're at would be kind of city limits, so to
Hmm.
speak. Indianapolis, Marion County.
Yeah.
We don't mess with that too much. We don't really have the spots to go.
Hmm.
We've been offered a few times to kind of try it out, and in the state of Indiana, you have to earn your buck for
Hmm.
the reduction zone. So you have to shoot a doe first, and the time that we would be able to get that done, really, it's already opener, the full on season. So
Yeah.
we don't mess with it too much. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be cumbersome if you're trying to do different states and reduction zones and regular season, but they do have a cool thing like you can actually shoot another buck once you earn your buck. You can kill another buck and it doesn't count towards your state quota, which is pretty cool. But yeah, like you said, it throws some time. You got to have the time to do it definitely
Right.
because it's a
And we
commitment.
ran into that with like I was talking about earlier with the state park reduction hunts and the military refuge. When we get drawed for those, that is an extra buck here in Indiana, and I think some of these places we've been able to go, you could shoot like 3 does and a buck while you're there in a 2 day period, which is pretty nice. But you know, on the deer reduction hunts, they don't care what it is. They want you to shoot it because they're trying to reduce those herds.
Hmm.
And actually, I got drawed for Fort Benjamin Harrison here in Marion County in Indianapolis last year, and I shot a doe there the weekend or the Monday after opening weekend at gun here in Indiana, and had a blast doing it. Saw a ton of deer, but when I checked my deer in, the guy goes, "Well, I'll see you again next year." I'm like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah, you shoot a deer here, you'll be back."
Hmm.
And I'm a very busy person, especially in the summer,
Yeah.
and I forgot to put in for my reduction hunts this year, so
Ooh.
I'm not going back. But he got drawed for Muscatatuck down off
Hmm.
65 there, close to Seymour, so we're gonna go try that out during muzzleloader season, which will be fun.
What are those like the refuge and military bases and all that stuff? What's that like? Is it pretty busy? You kind of feel like kind of dangerous, lots of people, or
Well, I've never really been on one with a gun. We've always been on ones with but well, we did do one with a gun last year, but the weather was so bad there wasn't really anybody there. But the bow one we did, we actually had our own certain zone that we were in, that nobody else could come in that zone, and we never really saw anybody. Well, we saw them in the parking lot, kind of in the certain area that we were in, but we kind of just we looked at it on the topographical map, and I was like, hey, there's like 3 ridges that come together right here. Let's just walk right up this hell, there was a trail and even like a hiking trail through the woods. So we hit this hiking trail and go up to a certain point. I'm like, well, let's find a couple trees here together and go up. Sun hadn't even come up yet, and we are surrounded in deer. I think we saw like 20 something deer the first day we did it.
you're
So
thinking, yeah, oh yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
didn't see anything buck wise that was well, I didn't really get a buck close. We saw a couple of small ones, but it's always kind of cool, because that factor is there. You could shoot a giant, and it's an extra. It doesn't even count towards your state tags, which is awesome.
that stuff's pretty untouched too throughout the year, isn't it? They kind of
Yeah,
just,
absolutely. It's a state park. People are in there on swing sets and riding bikes, and I'm not even sure you're allowed to fish in some of them. I mean, I'm sure you can on most of them, but and it was kind of cool because you got diehards like us, which live, breathe, eat this stuff, and then you
yeah,
could tell people that maybe they just do this for fun every once in a while. And we actually ran into a gentleman last year. We were pulling my doe out, and he was talking to us, and this guy was stoked. He shot 2 does that morning, and he said, "Me and my family are going to eat off this for a very long time." And he was super excited. And he goes, "You guys kill many deer?" I'm like, "Well, this happens to be my sixth one of the year." And this guy was like dumbfounded. He's like, "You shot 6 deer this year?" I'm like, "Yeah, I shot 6 deer this year. This is my number six." And I think I ended up getting number seven. So we got plenty of meat for you.
You guys eat on that all year, or you guys
Yeah.
buy meat from the store? Or
We buy a little bit. Depends on what we're making, really. But we put it into a lot of things: hamburger helper, spaghetti,
yeah,
lasagna, that kind of thing. But we make jerky ourselves, sausages and stuff like that. But it goes up quick. I know I shot 6 deer and I donated a couple of those to landowners. And
hmm,
we always kind of hook them up a little bit for letting us go out there. I don't really have a whole lot left. We go through it quite a bit in the summer, doing cookouts and whatnot. And even in the winter, when hunting season rolls around, I get up to go to work in the morning. I'll put a roast on, and then when I come home, it's ready to eat, which is nice.
are those reduction like hunts? Are those usually early during bow season? Or are they later? Or
To be honest with you, I don't really know. Ours was the Monday, Tuesday after the gun opener. And
okay,
then we did a gun hunt at Brookville, which we had terrible, terrible weather for that, and we didn't even actually go the second day because it was so bad. But uh, I don't really know that. I don't know if they have early hunts or not, or what they consider early. I think a lot of those hunts are November, December.
yeah.
Like the one we got drawed for this year is in muzzleloader season. I think it's like the 16th of December or something like that. So it's later on.
Do they close off that whole area? Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I figured for safety reasons. I was kind of wondering if they were later for guns because I know the success rate goes up quite a bit. If it's guns versus bows, and there's a lot
Right.
more gun hunters. So,
And it was kind of funny you mentioned that they shut down the state parks when people were in there hunting, and we're driving to the check-in station to check my doe in, and guys running down the road and highlighted gear like jogging.
uh-huh.
And we're like both kind of looking at him as he's running down the road, and we tell the conservation officer, we're checking, and we're like, "Hey, there was a guy running through the park. You might want to track that guy down and tell him that he's not allowed in here today. I don't know how he got through the barricades this morning, but you might want to go tell him that there's people flinging arrows around here at deer." He was like, "Oh, absolutely." So I think as we were driving out, the conservation officer was having a talk with the guy. He might have came in from a different, not the main gate.
You kind of wonder how somebody could possibly shoot somebody while they're hunting, but it does happen. People get excited, and man, that would be a bad way to get shot is out on a
Yeah.
morning jog.
I'm pretty sure I don't want to get hit with any kind of brawhead that has anything to do with hunting. Sure, that wouldn't feel very good.
We talked kind of a little bit about what broadheads you're shooting. Are you shooting mechanicals or fixed or?
I'm actually shooting. This will be my second year. I shot muzzies for my entire life,
Hmm.
and I went to a hybrid. It's from Bloodsport. It's called the Nightfall, so it has two fixed blades on it, and then it has the retractable blades on that opened up on impact, and it's like a inch and a half cut or something, but deadly. I mean, I can contest to it. I wouldn't tell you to shoot something that I didn't believe in, and I shot this deer in Wisconsin last year, and it looked like somebody stuck the muzzle of a shotgun in his chest and pulled the trigger because there wasn't
Really?
anything left on the inside. His heart was severed in half, liver, lung. I mean, it looked like somebody put a grenade off in his chest. When I opened him up, the guy helping me clean the deer was like, "Oh my God, what did you shoot this thing with, a grenade?" I'm like, "I don't know." I showed him the broadhead, and he was like, "Wow, I need to start shooting these things." But I think anything you shoot can be. I mean, I'm sure there's horror stories on some of the mechanicals that don't open up. Actually, you can kind of see it's here, the other way. This buck behind me here.
Hmm.
Um, when I actually shot him, I shot him during gun season, and when I opened him up, he had a mechanical broadhead in his like back strap, about an inch away from his spine. So I got lucky that somebody wasn't shooting the right thing at the right time because he survived it, and
Wow.
I was always scared to shoot that kind of thing. And then last year, I kind of just took that leap of faith and tried something different, and it really paid off for me, I think.
I've always shot muzzies too, and I started to go with some Rage mechanicals this year, and I ended up taking them back at the store and went back to the Muzzies. I just kind of had this weird gut feeling about failure and all that stuff. Is there a reason why you got away from Muzzies?
No, I just honestly just wanted to try something new. I'm a creature of habit, just like kind of what you're talking. You shot the same thing for years. You believe in them, so
Yeah,
why switch? But I kind of just wanted to try something different for once. I
yeah.
shot the old same three blade muzzies since I was 14 years old. I wanted to try something different, and these just happened to be what I went with. And I love them, man. I don't know if I can actually go back. I mean, I have some other companies that I would like to try out as well, and that might happen in the next few years. I might try something else out, but those blood sports are unbelievable.
Are they pretty? I know I've shot Muzzies and reused them and reused them and reused them. Are you able to reuse those? They seem like they
I
kind of chip
actually
or
haven't been down that alley yet. I only shot 3 deer with my bow last year, and I had bought 2 packages. I think they come in threes,
hmm.
and I don't think I've actually even tried to reuse one yet. I have them, and I'm going to be cleaning a couple of them up for this coming year, but I haven't got to reuse them yet, so I don't really know the answer to that question.
Do you are you big into sharpening broadheads? You just kind of
With my muzzies, I was, I could
yeah,
buy 2 packs and they'd last me 5 years because
yeah.
I wasn't really that worried about it because I sharpened them or changed the blades on them. But I actually have one of the blood sports that I'll probably just be putting on display somewhere because it took a little bit of a smack dab on the opposite side shoulder. But other than that, I think I'd be comfortable with it reusing one. I mean, they're pretty tough and pretty durable.
Yeah, I may have to get into mechanicals. Like I said, I really wanted to try them, and just something was telling me don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I knew the second I shot a deer with one of those mechanicals this year, I was going to be kicking myself for it. So I was like, I'm playing it safe.
And I've been on track jobs where we've tracked deer after somebody shot it with a rage, and a blind person could have found this deer, but it's all about what you're comfortable with. It's hard to get away from something that you're so comfortable with. At least it was for me. I just kind of was like, what the hell? I'm gonna try this anyways.
Yeah, it's always nice to try something different. Um, I heard your podcast. You guys, I think you and Jordan were talking about doing some journaling this year, and something that I've kind of meant to do for the past 3 or 4 years, and I'll do it for 5 or 6 hunts, and then I'll just kind of like fall off. You get back to the truck and you're hot, or you get cold, or you get busy, and you just forget to write it down. That's something I kind of want to do more this year. Can you kind of tell me about like your process for that? What you're going to write down, where you're going to record it, and
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of
gonna. I'm just gonna download some kind of journal app on my phone. I'm gonna do it off my phone because I mean, I could transfer that to paper at some point. Maybe this off season when I'm not doing anything, maybe I'll transfer it to paper or some kind of spreadsheet. But I want to have it on my phone because I know I'm going to have my phone with me that much, and I want to record everything. Barometric pressure,
hmm.
weather. As far as temperature and the sun and the wind and everything that I can possibly log, I'm going to log. And I've kind of said the same thing prior years, and I'll do it for a couple hunts, kind of like you're saying. And then I always kind of taper off because I always get busy chasing one of these big deer, or get busy at work, and it doesn't really process through my mind very well. But I want to log the hours that I'm in the stand, the day, just your surroundings. I,
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of hunting podcasts, and I was listening to Working Class Bow Hunter,
Hmm.
and Mark Drury was on there, and they were talking about some things, and I don't know if it was him or another guy that was talking that said that he had shot like 3 or 4 deers consecutive years that the property that he killed it at had a front coming from the north and a wind from the south, and that was like the deciding factor. It was that same thing happened on all these hunts. You had a front come in from the north and then the wind from the south, and it just happened to pan out like that. I want to be able to have some information like that. Be like, well, I shot him this year, and the next year when I'm doing it, I'm look down like, is there anything connecting these two things? Maybe a date, maybe the barometric pressure, maybe just the weather. It could be so many things that it might make you a better hunter. Like, man, last year I shot this deer. I had south wind on this date with this weather, and then the next year rolls around and you're trying to decide what stand to hunt or what property to hunt. And you're like, well, I did kill this deer last year here and got similar weather conditions tomorrow. I think I'm going to go for it. You never know. And you might pull it off again. It might just be something that makes you better. I don't know how to explain it, but
I know Mark Jury talks a lot about like kill dates,
right.
I think he's talked like November 4th or November 6th, like his day. How do you feel? Do you feel like that's something you can relate to, or you
Yeah,
feel like you're
absolutely. I actually have two dates: Halloween, October 31st, and November 5th. I have had just incredible hunts the last 10 years, and it all, you just look back and it's like, me and a couple buddies, we talk, we have group text and we're texting all the time. It's like, my one buddy, we've always had luck on this date, and we'll be texting, hey Alan, tomorrow's November 5th, you going hunting with me or what? And he's like, oh absolutely, we're going. And then I actually have a cousin that I hunt with about once a year, and 2 years in a row, I killed a deer over 130 inches with him. That's the only time I hunted with him all year long, and I killed basically back-to-back years, almost on the exact same day, the
wow.
Friday of Thanksgiving, back-to-back years.
Is that on the property you've hunted for 18 years, or is that?
One was the one here behind me. He
Mhm.
gross score 122, but he scores a little bit higher than that green score, but you know how that kind of thing works. But
Mhm.
he is on the property that I've been hunting for about 18 years in Hancock County, and then the deer next to him there, that's Shelby County, and it was actually a property I had never hunted before, and I was working out of town at the time, and I came home just for opening weekend of shotgun to hunt with some buddies, and it rained opening day shotgun, and everybody didn't really go. Nobody's having any luck, and I was texting some people at my Hancock County spot, and they're like, "Nah, we didn't see anything today." So my cousin asked me to go to Shelby County. I'm like, "Sure, dude, I'll go. Let's go." We get set up in a climber, and 2 hours later, I was actually going to let him shoot him, and he couldn't see this deer, and I'm like, I am not letting this deer walk. Boom. He's actually my
Yeah.
highest scoring deer at 137 and 5/8. But it was just kind of cool, Never hunted the property before. I pop in on one day and shoot, something that's probably one of the biggest deer around that area.
Yeah,
It's
that's
kind of cool.
exciting. There's
Yeah,
nothing like going to a new property and having some success.
right.
Do you are you big into barometric pressure and moon phase? How do you feel about that stuff?
Moon phase, I've never really had much luck on that kind of thing. Like, I know they say, when the full moon, they're going to be running all night, and they do. It shows on my cameras, but sometimes that's you still got to be out there. You still got to know what's going on. Now, when it comes to the barometric pressure, I do believe in that quite a bit. When you get that high pressure, those deer are going to be up on their feet moving. It's just that plain and simple. I've seen it for the last 18 years. That's something I really have studied on, and that's
Hmm.
why I would note that in my journal, because it's something I really pay attention to.
I'm with you on the moon phase. I've never had a whole lot of luck with it. I can never seem to figure it out or pinpoint.
Right.
But the barometric pressure for me, I'm watching that, like cold fronts and all that stuff coming in. I'm always watching that. Do you have kind of a sweet spot that you're looking for in your barometric pressure, or?
Not necessarily. When it gets up into the what is it, high 39s or something like that. When you
Hmm.
get up into them high numbers, and even in the 40s, I see a ton of deer movement. Morning, afternoon, middle of the day. I do a lot of all day sits, and I see a lot of deer moving in the middle of the day. It might be 70 degrees, and these deer are moving through. We had above normal temperatures in November last year, and it was really hard to sit there all day because it's almost 80 degrees, and I'm loaded up
Yeah.
like I'm about to, walk through a snowstorm somewhere. And it's like you can't just go into it like that. You need to dress appropriate for that situation. And I had never been in that situation. I never hunted in November when it was 75 degrees out.
So you're kind
Yeah.
of just looking for big jumps then, like
Yeah,
on upward.
when it's have you ever used like the Deercast app or any of those apps like the
I have I've used something similar to it. And I couldn't even tell you what it was years and years ago, but it was actually an app that would show. It had like five deer on it, and it
Yeah,
would show like two deer like that were actually colored in would be
right.
like a just below half, and then it would be like five. But it basically just on the high rise barometric pressure days, it would fill them all in. But
Oh, absolutely.
I've kind of found that like 30.25 for me where I'm from is like you
Oh,
better be
that's
in
what
the
I meant.
woods.
I don't know why I said 39, get nervous sometimes, but 29s when you hit the
It's all good.
30s, not the 40s. When you hit the 30s is when I really see a big jump in movement here. High 29s, I see a little bit, but you dip
Hmm.
into the low 29s, and I hardly see any deer. The property we have here.
I know you talked. I hunt a lot. Like I'm going to Kentucky. I'm say that like I'm traveling. It's 20 minutes away, but September 1st, archery season starts. But it's hot. It's gonna be 80, 90. It could be 100 degrees. But you were talking a little bit about hot weather. How do you combat the mosquitoes? Are you using a thermocell or like
I you
you
know
scared
I've
for
I've
scent
never
or?
I've never really got to hunt those hot temperatures. Yeah, we had the 70-degree weather in November last year, and I just tried to dress as light as possible. I might have screwed that up on a couple days because it was, low 40s in the morning, and then it just rose so fast that it didn't matter what you were going to have on, you were going to become hot. But we have used a thermocell when turkey hunting. I know
Hmm.
some people are still think that will admit a smell. Maybe I just haven't been down that road enough, and I was kind of looking up the weather for you guys coming up for this weekend, and it looks like you're going to have pretty good weather if you're getting down there this weekend.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it can stay a little bit cloudy. If was down there last week doing some scouting, and it was cloudy. It wasn't too bad if you can take it slow, but if you get moving too fast, like when you're filming, you definitely got to have plenty of time to walk in. Got to give
Right.
yourself. I try to give myself an extra 45 minutes to an hour because by the time you get back there and I use a climber or whatever, you get in the spots where you're like, oh man, I thought I was going to use that tree, or oh, I
Right.
forgot my release at the truck, or
Yeah.
so yeah, I try to, especially early season, give myself a lot of time because if you go running back there, you're gonna sweat to death so fast. And I'm big on scent control
Oh,
too.
absolutely, me too. And it's showing like the highs in the mid 70s down there for you guys in certain spots. And I didn't pay attention to the lows, but I can only imagine that you're probably going to have some pretty good deer movement as of a morning time, and especially in the evening time. I would think at 70 some degrees, I would think they'd be moving a little bit.
I'm hoping for it. I know that good weather brings out all those hunters when you're hunting
Yeah.
public. I'm kind of semi-public. We do like just kind of buy a permit to hunt some old coal mine ground,
Hmm.
and there's like I think there's 150 or 200 people that hunt it, but honestly, I never really see a whole lot of bow hunters. It's
Hmm.
mostly gun hunters, but I have caught a couple guys on camera. So if we get good weather, I may be battling those guys because they're kind of getting tuned in on the buck that I'm hunting.
Oh
So,
man.
um, do you think? So we hear a lot about people traveling, to hunt different states, like the big buck states. How come you never
Right.
really hear about people traveling to Indiana to hunt, you think?
I've asked the same question quite a bit to numerous people, and Indiana gets overlooked. We have some great deer here in the state of Indiana. And, everybody, think about it. When somebody's wanting to buck a hunt and they want to come to the Midwest, there's always three states they want to go to as far as in our region: Ohio, Illinois, and Kentucky. Well, guess what's in the middle of all of that? Indiana. And we
Uh huh.
got big corn fed deer here that, I think the bodies on the deer here are a lot bigger than Kentucky. They don't
Yeah.
have as much as the ag that we got, but they can grow some big racks down there. But Indiana is such a sleeper state. And if you're going to pay to go someplace to hunt, maybe an outfitter or whatnot, I don't know how you're not looking at Indiana because you're not going to spend the money that you're spending in Ohio or Kentucky or Illinois, especially Illinois. They just really want to break it off in you when you go hunt that state.
Yeah, I know a guy I work with. He has some property over there, and he kind of offered, to take me on his. And I started looking at the out of state tags, and they're like $500, which I know
Yeah,
that's it's high everywhere, but um, I know that's pretty high compared to Kentucky. I think Kentucky's about right at 300. So
right.
I'm not sure what out of state tags cost for
I
Indiana. I
want
don't
to
know.
say they're in like the buck 50 range, like
Yeah,
$150 or so, which is very nice. But
yeah, it's
you know,
very doable.
absolutely, and there's actually a lot of states out there, that are very friendly when it comes to out-of-state hunters. Like last year, I was fortunate enough to go hunt Wisconsin, and the first-time archery buyer, non-resident in the state of Wisconsin, was $76. So I
Oh, you
paid
just you broke up a
less
little bit there. How much?
$76.
Oh, wow.
So it was super cheap for me to buy my tag. Went up there, had a blast. I would go over in a heartbeat. Next year, I think, is really going to be something we focus on with having Jordan on our podcast a lot. I think we're going to go up there, and he knows us some public land and certain ways to get in and out of it, which would be really fun. I know he has a pretty big farm there, private, but kind of hard to take people in there. When he's only got permission for himself. I know some
Right.
in-laws that he's got, and I know how hard that kind of thing could be. So we're probably going to hit some public land up there, which if you've never checked out Wisconsin, you need to do it because this place is unreal when it comes to whitetail.
Lots of public access.
I don't know. I didn't hunt public when I went. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to an outfitter. And there's a huge discussion on that kind of thing too. Like it's cheating or it's already set up for you or whatnot. It's not something I do. It's the first time I've ever done it, and it may be the only time I get to do it for a long time. But I just wanted to go someplace that I didn't have to hunt public. And these places, the places I got to go, it was you shoot anything 4.5 years old. 8 pointers 130 inches, 10 pointers are 140 inches. So I knew I was chasing big deer, and they had big deer there. But I know some people can get pretty frustrated with the outfitter thing, saying they, tie him up to a tree out back or whatnot. But
Yeah.
I can guarantee the place I went was 100% fair chase, and I was lucky enough to be able to shoot one.
And that's not a high fence, or is it a
No, it
high
was
fence?
not every 100% fair chase all the way around,
Yeah.
and they use cameras and stuff, and just like we do on seeing where these deer are at, and getting them patterned out and stuff like that. It's just they have big tracts of land, and I think a lot of they had these big aerial maps, and we would be in there eating dinner at night, and you get to figure out where you're going the next day. They don't hunt same stands or that stand consecutive days in a row, so it gets a little bit of time off in there. But it was really cool. I mean, I would recommend that to anybody that wants to
Really.
go on an out-of-state hunt. Check these outfitters out. You go in and you get to hunt with other people that are coming from out of state and hanging out and drinking beer, and they provide all the food. I mean, it was real. I had a blast, and I actually went up there by myself. I did it all solo.
How long were you up there for?
5 days.
Yeah. So could you run me just kind of through what that looks like? Like you show up, are they taking you to the stand in a four wheeler? Are you going in by yourself?
No, you
How?
have an aerial map, and I got dropped off at a certain point, and he'll say take this trail back, and they have like the thumbtacks on the trees that are
Uh huh.
highlighted. You
Yep.
find all the way back there when you get to the set that you're hunting. There's a ladder stand, and then there's a lock on. You get to choose what you want to hunt, and I chose the lock on every time because that's just what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
But there was no like commercial feel to it. I felt like I was with my buddies hanging out, and we were getting a hunt, and they dropped me off in the morning, and they didn't come get me until dark.
Wow. Yeah. How big of an area? Do you remember
Oh,
how
it was unbelievable. They had upwards of 15 to 20 leases that they
oh
do
yeah.
yearly, and it's some of these places were big. I know the one set they had was like 350 acres. So I mean, they had tons and tons and tons of land to hunt on.
Do you feel like did you feel like you were hunting on top of other people? You just had
Nope.
plenty of room and
Actually, my guide for the time that I was there, it was usually just like the drive-in of a morning because some of the places that you went to were like a half-hour drive from the lodge.
Hmm.
It was just me and another guy in the truck with the guide, and he dropped that guy off like 20 minutes before me, so I know we weren't even close, you know.
Yeah.
But I would
Well,
definitely recommend it, man. If it's something that you ever can get figured out to go try it. I mean, it's really an incredible experience, especially someplace that we're used to hunting Indiana, where it's mostly open ground and whatnot, and these places had big bluffs and ravines, and I felt like I was in the mountains or something.
yeah, it's nice to have a different landscape. It's funny. I tell my wife all the time too. I'll drive to Kentucky, like it's only 20, 25 minutes from here, but man, the terrain, once you cross that Ohio, it's like night and day
Oh,
sometimes. It's so
absolutely.
flat over here. It's nice to be able to get up in some of those like hills and hollers. It's yeah, definitely different.
And it's crazy because Indiana can be so vastly different too. Like the southern half, there is portions of it that are flat, kind of like where you're at, and then
Hmm.
there's south central Indiana is nothing but ravines and hollers and everything
Yeah.
else. Then you get in central Indiana, where I'm at, it's mostly cornfields and big blocks of woods here and there, sporadic. And then you go up north, and it's even more sporadic and it's just super flat. And then it's just so you have like those stages of Indiana.
Yeah.
Like if you're driving down 65 or up 65 or whatnot, and it just changes so vastly that you can get, the polar opposites and be, 50 miles from one another.
Yeah, there's a place, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's public. It's about an hour north of me. It's called Sugar Ridge.
Yep.
Um, I know when I first went up there when I was probably a teenager, 16 or something, I drove up there and I was so used to everything being flat here. And I got there and I was like, my God, are we still in Indiana? Because it was just like, it's like Kentucky
Right.
where I hunt at. It's just up and down squall banks. I'm like, gosh, I'm used to these cornfields hunting on the edges, hunting right, 20, 30 yards. This is just solid woods. There's not fields anywhere.
Right.
But that is nice to be able to. It's a good thing about Indiana is you can drive an hour and be in totally different terrain.
Right.
Um, Ohio, I guess, be the last thing I want to touch on. I kind of thought about if I can get it done in Kentucky too, because I have some time off work. In November. I've thought about going to Ohio myself.
Hmm.
What do you kind of recommend to
Well,
look
I've
for?
actually never done Ohio myself. It's something that me and another guy have researched a lot in the past 2 years. Because actually last year we had it dead set. We were going the last week in November. We had it set where we were going. We found a campground close. We were taking a little pop up. We were going to bow hunt. I was going to film. He was going to hunt. That was going to be our thing. We were going to go for like a long weekend.
Hmm.
And it never panned out. He ended up shooting a big one here. I jumped behind the camera somewhere else, but southeast Ohio ish, that
Hmm.
area. There's been some good public land down there. I know it gets probably overhunted a little bit, but I think
Yeah.
if we were actually going to go kind of at the beginning of our trip was going to be kind of midweek, so I was hoping not to really run into a whole lot of other people, but um, it's just something you got to endure. You know how it is going to Kentucky. You got to figure it out. If somebody beats you there, uh, too bad. You're going to
Yeah.
have to find someplace else to go. But we were actually mapping some of these places out, and we had some places we were looking at that were pretty nice. And we ran into a guy over there, and he started showing us all these pictures because we drove over there and everything looking.
Yeah.
And we ran into a guy, and we were telling him we're from out of state, and he was kind of dropping his knowledge on us a little bit. And he said he had killed several big bucks out of this certain public land, and he said that he kills these big deer on ridges overlooking the parking area. And I was like, "What do you just don't want to walk nowhere or what?" He said, "No, all these deer watch everybody walk in all the time on them, and they're just sitting up on these ridges watching you walk into the deepest part of this woods, but they're right here, right off the road." He said, I let everybody go in, and then I kind of slowly creep up on the ridge, just down from the parking area, and he's killing these monsters. One was like 163 inches or something. I mean, just absolute toads." it's kind of cool that I don't hunt public land very
Yeah,
often, and it was just kind of cool to he had a tactic on it, kind of.
that's funny that you mentioned that because I spent this year scouting, walking 3/4 of a mile to a mile back one way to pull a camera, and that's where I was getting all those I was getting pictures of that buck I'm after, during daylight hours, but I was also getting pictures of other hunters, like 3, 4 within a week. And I was like, I'm going up by the highway, so I went up by, closer to the highway, and probably within less than 100 yards from the highway, there's like a divider fence, and sure
Hmm.
enough, all up and down these ridges, there's a solid trail running through there. So I kind of got the same idea. I was like, I'm going to hunt closer to the highway. It's a little loud, and I don't like that because I kind of like the peace and quiet. But at the
Yeah,
same time, if all those guys are going in deep, I'm gonna let them push them up towards the highway, and
yeah.
so I may try to go with that this year. So that guy's probably on to something.
I do some filming for my next door neighbor here and his kids a lot during the youth season and early October for him. And they have a property that is butts up to I-70, and
Hmm.
that is one of the weirdest things to get used to is that noise because filming, that's all you hear in my film is the semis and the cars and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I have to edit it music into it because you would have no idea. You're like, what is that noise? It's just kind of
Yeah.
driving you nuts on in your mic. Because a lot of times when I film, if I leave my camera running, not necessarily recording, but leave my camera on because I take 3 batteries with me. So
Hmm.
sometimes I just leave that camera on in certain situations because I know something can pop up on me anytime, and I don't want to have to turn my camera on, let it get adjusted and then start recording. I can already jump right into the recording, and I wear headphones. I wear the little like it comes with my iPhone or
Yeah,
whatever,
like
but
air, like pods.
no, it's not really necessarily a pod. They're wired. I wired that into my camera,
Oh,
and
okay.
whatever's going through my external mic is going into my ears, which is kind of cool sometimes because it's almost like amplifying my hearing a little
Yeah.
bit, and you can hear deers stepping on the leaves and whatnot. But uh, I couldn't do it on these properties because all I could hear were cars. And there are some stories that come along with hunting that close to a major highway, and probably some a little too graphic for this content, but pretty
That,
funny stories.
that's funny. You mentioned that. I know we're getting kind of past an hour here, but we can go ahead, keep talking if you're up for it.
I'm
But
good, buddy.
I'm uh I'm hunting next to this highway, and my wife is in the truck with my son. He's only 2 months old, so she wanted to ride with me, but she's waiting out in the out back of the truck. So I go walk down, not too far, maybe 15-minute walk, and I go set this camera. It's like this drainage off the highway, and I see a bunch of tracks in it or whatever. There's really no ag around. I'm like, I'll just put a camera here. There's some trails coming together, and it was getting kind of dark. I'd been scouting all day. I was kind of in a rush, and I look over and I'm like, that's weird. Big pile of trash, like 100. I mean, there's like a drop off on this highway. I'm like, how did the trash get down here? I'm like, that's somebody lost their boat. And I look over there and I'm like, that's like a 2018. It's like an SUV. It was like crashed down in this ravine. And I was like, first thing I was thinking, like, somebody just crashed before I came in here, and I'm gonna walk over here. And yeah, so like I hop the fence, and then it's just kind of like a cattle fence that runs along there. And I go look, and first thing I see is like see all the windows are like smashed out, and I see a car seat in the back. I'm like,
Oh wow.
oh god. But I get over there, and there's nobody in it, thankfully. The plates are on it, and the VIN number is ripped out of it. So I call it into the police, and they run the plates. I tell them where it's at. They didn't end up going in the woods to get it. I don't know if they were scared to go down in the woods or what, but I gave them the plate number, and they said, he called me back when I got home, and he said, the plates don't come back to anybody. And I was like, how do the
That's
plates
weird.
not come back to anybody? Somebody, at one point in time bought those
Registered
at
this
the,
car.
yeah. So I don't, it's still there. I checked that camera, and I have no idea. It's,
That is the
you
weirdest
find some
thing.
weird stuff next to the highway, man.
My neighbor on this property I'm talking about on I-70, him and his son's 14, I think now, but big bow hunter at a young age, and they have some stands set up close to another so he can keep an eye on him and whatnot. And he said he kind of look up at his son. His son's kind of waving his arms a little bit, and he
Hmm.
looks back down because sometimes they hunt right up along that that fence along the highway because it's a huge travel corridor
Yep.
because there's no human traffic besides the road. But they use these ridges right along this fence. I mean, it's unbelievable how wide some of these trails are. And there is a lady pulled off the side of the road, runs into the woods, and is taking a number two in the woods right underneath their tree stand.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he's taking a picture of it and sent it to me. I was at work at the time. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Did you say something to her?" He's like, "No, I didn't really think that was appropriate." I was like, "I probably would have said something like, 'Hey, lady, you need to get out of here.
You can just, yeah, scurry on somewhere.
Take
Yeah,
that someplace else.'"
that's funny, man. It, I've hunted kind of by I do hunt that reduction zone a lot too. It's funny. You'll see you get real used to sirens when you hunt that stuff. You'll see a lot of people get pulled over.
Right.
Yeah, it just highway hunting can be productive, but if you're trying to get some peace and quiet, I don't advise it. But if you're just trying to trying to get some meat in the freezer or something, or you're after one that's a big one that's back there, then yeah, it can for sure be productive.
Right.
Um, just want to. I know we posted your TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, but kind of tell people what you got going on YouTube. You just like doing filming hunts. I know you got your podcast on there too,
Yeah,
so
the
people
podcast
can.
is going to take up, you're going to see that pop up each and every week because I'm going to try to do about one a week. And other than that, here shortly, we're going to be, I'll try to put out as much content as I can. I'm the kind of person on our YouTube, I like to have something to show. I don't want you to be watching a 10-minute video of me talking or not really much in the action because I've been through that game on
Hmm.
YouTube. I watch a lot of people on hunting YouTube, and that's as soon as I see that, I'm clicking off your page. I don't want to watch you talking to a camera for 10 minutes about maybe some deer that you saw 2 weeks ago. I want to
Yeah.
see some action. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I try to put some action together, and we're gonna try to take some does here early on with our bow on a couple properties. So probably have some bow kills on there, a little doe management. After that, when we start getting into this rut, I'm taking the second week of November off from work, and I'm hunting like 9 days straight or something. So I'm gonna have plenty of footage. So hopefully we get some stuff put out there that is enjoyable to watch on the YouTube.
Are you gonna try to upload like are you gonna save that stuff for later on, or are you gonna try to upload it a few days after, or
Yeah, I'm gonna try to throw it out there as it's going on because I know when I personally watch YouTube, I watch it a lot during season. It's like,
hmm
it gets me jacked up. Oh, the
yeah,
Drury brothers just shot a giant today. I'm watching it.
yeah,
Or whoever. Like hunting public. They during turkey season, it's like they got a new video out every single day. Yeah, some of them aren't exactly action packed, but I know what's going on.
right,
Birds are getting hot, and Georgia today. It can be only a matter of time before it starts really happening here. Or I actually go down to Kentucky for a week turkey hunting in the spring at some property that I have down there, and as soon as I see that they're killing birds, it's almost like a domino effect. It's like, oh wow, I just seen that yesterday on theirs, and that's working for me too. These birds are reacting to this, or they're henned up at a certain time, or they're hunting and they're like, well, the hens went to nest about 10:30, and we got this bird fired up at 11:15, and it was like, wow, that actually just happened for me too. It's just kind of cool to see that. So I'm definitely gonna try to put it out there as it happens to give you something to, base what you're doing off of.
yeah. I feel that way too. Like if I watch a video that was just recorded a week or so ago, it gets me a lot more amped up than if I watch one from back in 2018 or something. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, it's already dead news or something.
Right.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, and it was nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy.
Like see a face, put a face to the name. I know we've talked for TikTok for a little while, and we've been trying to do this. So yeah, I'm glad
Yeah, we'll
we
definitely
finally
have
got
to
to.
do it again sometime, and I'm gonna have you on my show at some point.
Okay.
Just maybe not so close together as doing
Yeah.
yours to give us maybe a little something to talk about. Maybe mid October or late October, we can throw one together there on my podcast and maybe share some stories about how everything's going for us.
Okay, man. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
You too, man.